a perspective that's changed in your life that's been very impactful on your success?
Just find a way to make yourself uncomfortable and actually get through what the hell is going on in your life, because we all have shitty things out there.
In today's episode of Lock In or Log Off, we're thrilled to introduce an amazing guest. He's an ambitious entrepreneur making waves in the Web3 gaming space. As the founder of Legion GG, a thriving community where gamers and Web3 enthusiasts connect, he's built a hub with global influence. With over 200K followers on Twitter and 30K subscribers on YouTube, his dedication to bridging gaming and blockchain has inspired hundreds of thousands. Introducing Jesus Martinez.
Who were you before Web3 and who are you now?
I started this gaming club because all I knew was gaming. I didn't know what a job was or what money was. That wasn't an actual sense of purpose back then. But our gaming club sucked. However, what I learned was that if I actually try to do something as an initiative, it'll actually get me somewhere in life.
Welcome back to the Lock In or Log Off podcast, where I speak to builders, creators, and investors to understand how they spotted the opportunity and how they navigated their way to success. Today, we're joined by Jesus. How's it going, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, we're in Miami. It's the first time in Miami in like 6 months, visiting my family, finally getting in tune with the crypto markets, and I feel like for the first time, we're actually happy to be in the US.
Yeah, there's been I mean, we could go into that. It's like, what a time for Art Basel, especially after everything that's happened. The US is now way more pro crypto and everything like that. Have you felt a huge change being here?
Yeah, I mean, I would argue a month ago, everybody and their mother was telling me to move to Dubai. And now people are asking me which US state they should be going to. So definitely a huge dynamic shift, but also like an absolute sweep in Congress, politics, everything in between. So just huge change in the US for sure.
Yeah, I think it's weird because like in Dubai earlier this year, I was speaking to a lot of people that lived in America and they were saying how, yeah, the biggest thing is like their biggest barriers, like they love the industry and they love everything about it, but they're just held back so much by the US's approach on crypto. Obviously, that's changed massively, and I think we're going to see a huge change in the market as well, because like, I mean, the US is very much the home of innovation and Silicon Valley, but it's kind of been held back on the crypto side of things. So I'm super excited to see, yeah, just the innovation that we'll start to see from all the US companies within crypto.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people argue that Satoshi Nakamoto came from the United States. Realistically speaking, I mean, Trump was teasing this thing where he was like, we're going to get rid of capital gains tax. We're going to make it great. My brother's like, there's no way he's going to do that. They're going to miss out on too much money. But then I'm like, it's a strategic move more than anything. If they get rid of capital gains taxes on US cryptos and you have to be in the US to take advantage of it, they make the money in other places. Yeah. It's kind of like how Dubai's doing it right now, where you move to Dubai and it's technically free, but there are other taxes along, especially like just buying things in Dubai is expensive as hell.
Yeah. Yeah, the lifestyle and the nature of the spending spree in Dubai, I think people like don't pay the tax, but then they just end up spending it in the Dubai economy, which is like great for the company. Yeah, so I'd like to start these things with understanding how Web3 has impacted certain people's lives. So I'd love to understand, who were you before Web3 and who are you now?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I was like a little bit of a lost boy. I didn't really like know what I was doing in life. Kind of a senseless person. I feel like a lot of people these days, we don't know what we're doing. Some of us have first world problems. Other of us are trying to feed our families. But for the most part, like, we don't have set goals for what we want to do. And a lot of the time, I feel like that's the issue that we have. Until high school, really, I was just a boy playing too much League of Legends, not knowing what he was doing. But then I met my girl, and it kind of gave me like, okay, I need to lock in, actually do something with my life. And so I started this gaming club because all I knew was gaming. I didn't know what a job was or what money was. That wasn't an actual sense of purpose back then. But our gaming club sucked. However, what I learned was that if I actually try to do something as an initiative, it'll actually get me somewhere in life. And so what happened was, after this gaming club, started getting my GPA up. I had good ACT scores, SAT scores. None of it mattered. Because at the end of the day, Latino guy, bad GPA, unlucky. Like, we all know the story, right? But for the most part, afterward, I got to this point where we all lost our jobs. It's called the pandemic. We all love the pandemic. Shout out to the pandemic. Amazing opportunity for a lot of us. For the first time, we were unemployed, actually still getting paid. Wasn't good for the economy afterward, but was good for us temporarily. So shout out to the pandemic.
Yeah, during the pandemic, I think everyone, there was that that period of enjoyment of it, and then obviously from the economy standpoint, it also like ended up in the short run like making the bull run even more crazy last time, I feel.
Yeah.
And gave everyone the spare time to kind of get into crypto. But yeah, I mean, I guess that was like kind of the pre-crypto side of things. How is it you getting into crypto, and how's it kind of shaped the life that you have now?
Yeah, so getting into crypto, I did the whole stock thing after the pandemic, GME, all that garbage, barely made money. I mean, practically minimum wage stuff, McDonald's. And then afterward, I decided, hey, there's this crypto thing. It's going up a lot. It just crashed a lot. My brother put his life savings into it. He's like, bro, this is the next big thing. I swear to God. He's getting drunk off his tail, leverage trading. And I'm like, okay, well, this is interesting. Can I check this out? It's like, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. One day I wake up, I hear ding, 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 ding. That's called liquidations, my friend. Bro lost everything.
Oh, no.
All of his money. Over like how many years? He's 11 years older than me.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit, this sucks. His life just like turns around. He's depressed. A month after, it's his birthday. And so for his birthday, I grabbed $700 and I look into what he introduced me to, which I was 3 years old. I was this little heel ball on Lineage 2, pressing one button over and over and healing him. But I thank him for that because I bought these 3 Axies from a video game called Axie Infinity.
Oh, damn.
Mark Cuban recently got into it, and back then he actually had a lot of credibility. People actually listened to him before Dinocoin.
Yeah.
Dinocoin was an interesting little fiasco. We don't talk about it these days. But I got into Axie Infinity. The month after, the Filipinos were all over it. The YGG documentary, absolutely huge thing, Play to Earn. Shout out to Play to Earn. And I was like, can I breed these things? I'm just curious what I can do with it. I know it's your birthday present, but let me just do something here. He's like, dude, I was drunk. I lost all my money. Do whatever you want. And so I turned that into 5 figures, gave him half of it, and he got his entire life savings back, just like that. And I was like, dude, that's good karma. I should probably try to teach other people how to do exactly what I just did.
Yeah.
And so not only did I like the good karma, I was like, how did I make this money in the first place? Well, it was probably all the Filipinos and the Venezuelans, all the guys in third world countries taking the risk to give this game the adoption it needed to succeed. Let me do some scholarships. I know I'm probably not going to make money off of it, but at least I'll help them out.
Yeah.
And so I made the guild, and I need a way to advertise the guild. So I go on Reddit, and I go, here's my YouTube channel, and here's how you actually play the teams that I have. And that's my oldest video ever.
Yeah.
Teaching people how to play the teams that I have. And from there, more people wanted videos. I got my first sponsorship. I'm like, wait, I can actually make money out of this thing. And I mean, from there, we just grew Axie Mania huge. I mean, thousands upon thousands of people. Axie was a different time. And crypto, by that point, we were almost in November, just changed everything. I was all in on crypto. I'd never seen that amount of money. I'd never seen me being able to influence people's lives to the point where like people are having all kinds of natural disasters, and yet they really want to still play Axie Infinity for me. They're paying their rent. They're getting food. They're going to college. Like, how many lives have we changed in crypto in just the past couple of years? So, I mean, it's an addiction. Like, I have an itch to just keep doing it, even though there's a little bit of selfishness along the way.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's always, for anyone that gets into crypto, I feel like, especially once you start to make money, there's an element of like, yeah, like I enjoy making money for myself, but I also think there is a beauty in how amazing the space can be for others. One, for like loved ones, like, I mean, that story about being able to help your brother is incredible. And I'm very happy that what turned out to be a sad story to start with ended up having a happy ending. And I think it does show the opportunity in Web3 that there is like, if you just kind of lent in at the right time to the technology, there was so much upside, and there still is so much upside to change people's lives. And a lot of people, even when I was speaking to Shiv, and he's been able to kind of help his family financially and buy them both his parents' cars. And I think it's something that a lot of people don't always see. It's just like the impact that you can have on other people's lives from it. And it's kind of what I wanted to spotlight, even like for you mentioning there, like the play to earn side of things. Like, there isn't just trading in the space from an opportunity standpoint. There's content, there's doing your own business, there's working in the space. Like, Web3 is not just trading meme coins. Like, as much as much as it can be fun, there is a lot of opportunity within this space. But that's incredible to hear kind of how you got into it all. How did it go from Axie into working and like being a face for GALA? And I know that obviously was a bad ending, but like, how did that transition into that? I'd love to understand.
Okay, so it's kind of a similar story. I quit play to earn gaming after I called the top on Axie Infinity. My most popular video on that channel, still to this day, is me trashing on the devs because they told me, hey, if you don't believe in our product, you should just sell your Axies. And I feel like as much as people love the Ron cult and they're all over it, and you know we all love being dick writers, it's important to keep in mind that there's a reason that Axie fell. And a lot of it is not listening to what the masses wanted, being like, hey, if you don't agree with our principles, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Which is not how people build empires. You have to listen to people. There's a reason that people have advisors. Advisors are useful for things. While I was just a retail trader, I echoed what a lot of the retail traders wanted, which was, hey, we don't want this to be a Ponzi scheme forever. We want a rule book on how this is going to stop being a Ponzi.
Yeah.
But there was never that. It was just, hey, you know what? This thing's going to keep going. If you don't want to be here, get out of here. And I went, yeah, sure, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And so a week after, because I was mass breeding these rimps, Ronin imps, these little beasts, these things started crashing. I said, you know what, I'm out of here. There's this guy called Whoop-de-doo56, scammed a ton of people off of this like NFT that he did off of breeding. Like that's a top signal right there. Yeah. I'm out of here. So I sold them. AXS kept going, but SLP after that never recovered. Never recovered because if Axies don't keep going, then SLP's not going to keep going. And if SLP's artificially inflated because of how the market is, then it's just not going to keep going. And that's just how Ponzi schemes work. Everybody knows that, right? At the end of the day, nobody wants to buy, thing crashes, never comes back, has inflation that's insane. It's just dead from there. And so I framed that in a video. I'm sure we saved people millions of dollars, millions of dollars from that. And so I left Play to Earn completely. I said, screw that. Play to Earn's dead. What does GALA have? Townstar? It's another Ponzi scheme. So I left the entire Play to Earn scene, went into meme coins because that's all people were interested in. Realized that I suck at meme coins, lost a ton of money on meme coins, honestly. And I got into some of these, older coins, legacy coins like HBarXRP back in 22, but it took me a while to get to that point. Yeah. It's like the post-nut clarity from meme coins. That's what it was.
That's a great way to frame it.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Also, very true. I think everyone goes into meme coins with being ambitious, but I feel like especially early on, it's
we're delusional.
Especially with the P&Ls that you see on the timeline, everyone goes in and like it's just like a huge casino.
And they also get gifted percentages of supply. Like there's a lot of corruption in the meme coin space that I advise people, if you're new to crypto, do not do meme coins. Just don't do it. It's like gambling. Once you get into gambling, you're gonna lose eventually. You might get lucky once. I've had buddies IRL get lucky. They lose their money a couple months later. There's no point in doing it unless you're someone that's like an insider, which at that point, you live in the US. Not a good thing at all. So that's why I stay away from meme coins for the most part and why I got so deep into utility coins. Anyway, I got into these utility coins, super hyped for them. Luna crashed, FTX collapse happened. Everybody was freaking out. They hated every single crypto on the planet. I was one of the only boys out there that defended Kronos, that defended HBAR, that defended XRP for one very simple reason. They got way too much baggage in the US to not be regulated to the point where they're ready for this collapse. And I was right. They definitely were ready. Kronos had the proof of reserves. They had some FUD from Gate.io and all these things. And how that led to GALA is, well, GALA, they've got their stuff based in, I think San Francisco is where they're based. Nowadays, they tried to move over to Dubai. They're trying to backtrack it. We don't talk about that, though. But everybody in gaming was fudding GALA because they were like, while yes, all of the money in crypto is in GALA, these guys, and they also have the best games in crypto at the time, these guys, the price went down. And these people on YouTube, they don't understand that there's more to life than the price going up or going down. And yes, it is important to make money in crypto, but from a fundamental standpoint, the entire industry needs a reason to care about it. And so the Play to Earn Ponzi was still doing its thing. It was crashing, going down, 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 down. And this little cute game called Spider Tanks happened. And at the same time it happened, this guy called On-Chain Gaming, Jake Browatsky, which by the way, shout out to him. Dude is making $400K a month right now in e-commerce. He's doing way better than he ever did in YouTube. So everybody that hated him for what he did, he's killing it. He's beating both of us. That's what he's doing right now. But what happened is he left and there was this hole where there were no US crypto creators that were covering GALA. There was no one giving attention to anything gaming. And also we just had this huge utility collapse. So what does a gamer do when he's depressed?
Game.
He plays video games. That's what he does.
So you just deep dive off the back
Deep
of that
dive into GALA. I
gaming.
realized the community is ignored. No one cares about them. And I go, let's do an experiment. I'm going to give it 3 months all in. I quit my other channel, had double the subscribers, 10x the revenue. Insanity. But I said, as a little boy, I wanted to be a gamer. I was challenger in League of Legends. I want to pursue my dreams. And there's a community that needs me right now. So I get into it. I get 6 accounts, rank 1 on Spider Tanks. Everybody is angry in the community, but also loves me at the same time because they have to love me. There's no one else backing them right now. And I go full force into the GALA world. They did not care about creators. They didn't care about their community. They didn't care about their builders. They called them all fucktards, which, I mean, there's verifiable proof on my feed at this point. And so there was a little bit of a transition period after I got all my accounts rank 1. There were some really good games. Like they had Champions Arena, they had Legends Reborn, some games that were actually competitive, but they didn't get finished. So not that competitive. But at the same time, like these were games that if you just gave them a little bit of love, actually told them how to do tokenomics other than just Ponzi schemes, like this would have been something good. It could have been like compared to Shatterline today or Off the Grid. 100% sure they had the money to build something like that. But they didn't nurture them. And so all these guys that needed to be nurtured, they needed to go somewhere else. And I also needed to go somewhere else. So about, I think it was August of 2023, I was told by a bunch of the GALA OGs, you know what? Like, I appreciate what you've done for me, but GALA ain't doing anything for us. We got to go. Here are a couple other projects like Miria, Playable that are also node projects. You don't know a lot about nodes. I get it. You didn't have GALA founders nodes, which I missed out on. I got Axie though, so I still won.
That's
even though I was broke, so I didn't make that much. But I got into that, and Playable exploded in November. Every single gaming coin went to the moon. Everybody that got into the cryptos that we got into just absolutely ate, and they're still eating today. Those are nodes, so they just keep accumulating. All these nodes, even Miria is like half off its all-time high, but still 4x higher than it was back at that time. So still absolute insanity. Get into that. We do the transition into some of the other cryptos, and in about December, I go, hey, you know what? I'm finally making enough money off of these other projects and also through my investments where I don't care if I lose GALA anymore. The community's tired. We want something different. So I make a thread the day before Christmas. It was my little Christmas message. On Christmas, I get a message from one of the people within GALA and the higher ups, and they're like, you're ruining my Christmas. I hate you. We're not going to do anything, essentially. And like a week later, they actually hire some guy from the Philippines. Not his fault at all. I love him. I actually met him at the Shatterline tournament. I think his name was like Jared or something. He does news reporting for the Philippines in gaming. So that's good. We need more people like that. We need more people like that. So I love him. But he was being used very clearly. And I think he knew he was being used. Because after he got hired, they did nothing for the creators. They gave no money to the creators. They did nothing for the creators. We were still number 1. And I just felt terrible. Like, I am like the only guy making anything off this ecosystem. And this ecosystem clearly wants us to leave. They're not giving us any support. So I cut all ties. Just like I did back then with DeFi. I did the same thing with GALA. All of my revenue was gone. I was making nothing. But I had my investments. I already finally learned what it took to make it in the crypto space. And I had the network to finally make it in the crypto space. So I was able to transition out of that. And while the views weren't there, I was already adept enough at crypto investing where I wasn't an idiot anymore. Like I knew what I was doing.
With that specifically on crypto investing, you kind of mentioned it before as well, where you're saying for anyone new to the industry, don't go into meme coins. So what is, I guess you obviously say now you're at the stage where like you're able to make enough money off your investments to keep you going, which I mean is a much better position than most traders end up having, especially coming into the cycle. So what is 1 to 2 tips that you'd give someone that's entering the space this cycle? Right now, basically.
One tip, don't go and take a second mortgage out of your house. Too many people do that. It's a weird thing that happens, but FOMO is a beep. And I was actually making a live stream. We had a bunch of people on, thousands of concurrents. And it was about H-bar. H-bar had just gone to 38 cents. People kept asking me, do I buy? Do I buy? Do I buy? Do I sell? Do I do that? If you're asking me that question, you should do the exact opposite of what you just did. So if you say, do I buy? You either sell or don't do anything. If you're telling me to sell, I mean, what are you doing? Like, use your head. You don't ask some random YouTuber for financial advice, first off. Dude's probably just as clueless. Maybe he's more experienced than you. But like, we are not gurus in this space. I don't have a magical paid group with these magical guys that are pumping everything to the moon. That's one. Don't join the paid groups. Do your own thing. Buy the boomer coins and understand, like, just take a look at the S&P 500 for a second. Like, it's called SPY stock. Just look it up on Google and put it on the max chart. The max gains, I think from 1993, it's about 1,200% from the 90s. It's a 12x return.
Yeah.
You know how many cryptos make a 12x return over the course of a year? A ridiculous amount of cryptos.
Yep.
So before you go, should I sell at 100%? Should I sell at 200%? I'm up 7,000%. Should I sell? Guys, if you're comfortable with what you have, I saw this guy called Dave Ramsey. My brother just keeps hawking on him. He's like, dude, he's been doing the Hawk 2 podcast practically on him. And he's like, I need to save, get out of debt, which the principles are correct. If you don't have money, you shouldn't have debt because you can't work debt the right way as someone that actually has wealth and can pay it off, use it for his advantage. Don't do debt if you're poor. Don't take debt to buy crypto. But he saw Dave Ramsey and Dave Ramsey's like, you should go ahead and just do your mutual funds, do the 401k, and you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
And then I go, that's true, but also he doesn't really get much returns. So if you get literally a 30% daily pump is years in the stock market.
Yeah.
Years in the stock market. So be happy with what you got. That's what you got to be in crypto. You can't let the emotions cloud your judgment. It happens to us all. I've made 80 each bar videos, for example. I'm up 700% on that thing in a month. I bought it at 5 cents. Everybody in my videos, they're all in profit because, that token's never been higher pretty much.
Yeah.
And so what I tell people is, I'm going to sell at 57 cents. I'm going to sell at 57 cents. I keep telling them the same exact thing. And then as we get closer to 57, they're like, are you really going to sell 57, bro? Like, come on.
Moving the goalposts.
It's going to go to $2. Yeah. It's going to go to $15. Yeah. You're going to be this is your Bitcoin pizza moment. Yeah. And I'm like, no, it's not my Bitcoin pizza moment. I'm just being the same person I was a year ago. The same thing I told myself I'm doing. If you told yourself you're going to be delusional and sell at $73 billion, you're probably going to lose your money, but hey, go for it. That's what you told yourself you were going to do. So why are you changing it all of a sudden? That's the number one thing people need to understand in the industry. Stick to your guts. A lot of the time, instinct is king.
Yeah, I think moving the goalposts, I think, is one of the biggest curses in this space. Like, I've done it last cycle, I've done it a million times. I still am a culprit of it occasionally. But I think it's super important to, I think, especially with the amount of money, like you say, the amount of percentage you can make in the space, I think something that's helped me a lot with that, specifically moving the goalpost, is understanding if I take this win now, there'll be more plays to make with this liquidity. But like, selling, you have to sell to get that cash. Like, if you don't sell, you never actually have that profit. So especially when you're early in the space and you're trying to grow your liquidity, take the wins, wait for the next plays, be patient. Like, there's going to be a lot over the next 6 months, maybe to a year. Like, who knows how long it'll last. From the bull market perspective, obviously crypto's, like, we all believe that'll be for the long run, but we know the most gains are going to be made in these next 6 months to a year. So yeah, I think anyone entering the space should definitely, basically take the wins that you can get. Don't get too greedy. There's 1,000,001 opportunities that you'll see. And yeah, like you say, try not to be emotional in it, which is easily said than done, depending on the person. But I think it makes a big difference. But a little bit away from the crypto industry specifically, a little bit about you. You have also posted about it and said like how you've had a big focus on your health over the thing. And I think it ties very closely actually into trading specifically, but I would love to understand how you've found that transition on like a personal level to focusing more on that.
I mean, that's hard. I watched a lot of guys on YouTube, and I'm sure a lot of you that are also fellow fatties, you agree with me that you watch these gurus online, they're all up on steroids and all these ridiculous things, Ozempic, all that garbage. Don't do that, by the way. You need to stick to fundamentals, just like in crypto. It's the same exact rule break. You go outside, you do cardio and all that, that's great. My biggest hurdle with health is always time. I mean, time is the biggest hurdle, any known to man. I could have all the money in the world, but if I don't have time, if I'm 80 years old, if I'm Warren Buffett, what's the point? What's the point of making all the money? So what I've kind of realized with my health journey is I got to just take my time and do something that I think is going to be long-term, that I'm actually going to stick to over the course of 5-10 years. I could probably cut all this weight in the next 2-3 months, but then I'm just going to binge eat for the next 3 months and gain it all back again. And it's not natural for your body to lose 10 pounds of fat in a single month. You're going to lose fat. You're going to lose muscle. You're going to lose a ton of core fundamental things. But as long as you're making progress, That's what's important. I was 220 pounds, deep bear market, depressed, just gaining so much weight, more than I'd ever had before. I was 150. I was a skinny boy. I was very skinny when I was in high school. But I just binged so much. I went through a Taco Bell Fritos burrito era where I had no money. I was investing it onto crypto, which I think is actually a mistake. I think that's a mistake. I, at the time, was investing everything I had in my checks to crypto, and I was sacrificing my health along the way. But I felt like had I actually focused on my health and taken care of it, gone to the gym more, paid for memberships, actually stuck with it, I'd been 10x more productive than I am today. And while like, yeah, I'm on this Celsius right now and I'm on energy, we have crashes. And some of these guys that go to the gym, they work for like 16 hours. I don't know how they do it. Yeah. They've got to be on like Adderall or something, which don't do drugs, kids. But like, I've gotten to this point finally where I've lost about 20 pounds. So I'm at 200 now. Definitely still need to lose weight. But I know over the course of the next year, if I do exactly what I just did, I can still eat my empanadas, I can still eat my things, I'm going to be at my goal and I'm going to have more muscle. Yeah. Like I went to Singapore and we were doing like these little boxing things. I punch pretty hard. And the problem is when you lose a lot of weight in a very short period of time, you lose a lot of this muscle. Yeah. When you get fat, it's actually a very unique privilege that we get a lot of muscle along the way. Yeah. So you want to preserve as much of that as you can while getting healthy. So that's been like my hurdle, finding time, making sure that I'm not being dumb. I think the biggest life hack is, I mean, you don't even need to count calories. It's one, if you're in the US, we have to buy organic food. Something I learned at Publix and pretty much all of these supermarkets, I learned that the number 4 in front of the fruit means it is not organic. Yeah, and if it's like green. And then it's got other colors and other numbers, I can't name it exactly, I'd have to see it, that will tell you that it's actually organic. And a lot of the time, even the organic food has a bunch of added ingredients to it. So just because it's apple juice doesn't mean they didn't add sugar to it. Even if it's organic apple juice, they could still add random ass sugar that's organic to it.
Yeah, I think being healthy, I think you've got to stick to the plan that works for you. I think some people find it super easy if they've kind of grown up doing that kind of stuff. Some people find it slightly harder, but you have to work out what works for you. But I am a big believer in the correlation between staying physically healthy and the productivity and the judgment that you'll have in crypto specifically. Because like you say, like being emotional in your trades is terrible. And I think, the whole of Web3 is based on judgment. Like, as how accurately can you judge this scenario, this trade, everything like that. Even when it comes to content, it's being like as best with your thumbnails and everything. Like everything is down to judgment in this day and age. And to have the best judgment, I think you have to be healthy and feel good in yourself. So I think finding the correlation that works for you is the best thing you can possibly do for the long term. You might have sacrificed some time and you will probably like miss some trades, you'll miss some opportunities. But I do think in the long run, like you say, it is the best play to go down from like a sustainability perspective. But yeah, back to the trading side of things. Something you've mentioned already a few times in terms of, I'm going to call them Dinocoins, because that is what some people like the phrase that we've seen on the timeline. A lot of the coins that we saw do really well last cycle have basically come back and also done really well, and retail has kind of transitioned into them, the likes of XRP, Cardano, and multiple others. I'd love to understand from your perspective, you've been a big believer in them. What made you such a strong believer in them being successful this cycle? Because like there is a whole narrative before this that people love shiny new things, and that like a lot of people go to the new coins, and especially with a lot of these new coins having arguably sometimes better tech and like all this kind of stuff, more evolved and like kind of more fitted to the way the market's at. Yeah, why did you believe in the so-called Dinocoins so much?
Yeah, so I guess the answer is, what if the Dinocoins are actually the new coins? And what if the Dinocoins were called the Dinocoins because a massive asteroid had hit them and they were trying to rebuild it over the course of 7 years? And that's called a lawsuit. That's called the SEC coming after them. And so what is actually happening here? And the HBAR community, by the way, Dinocoin army, at this point we've fully embraced it. Dinocoin super cycle. The real thing that's happening here is these are cryptos that are based in the United States that for the longest time, I mean, HBAR on a lot of different panels in Congress, they're trying to preserve democracy, all these things. The only crypto project that decided to actually go to these events was HBAR. Idera has been all over these different panels for Congress in terms of regulating cryptocurrency. why in the world would they go to a country that is so anti-crypto? It's because they're taking a gamble. And it's just like why I stayed here and didn't go to Dubai. I took a huge risk by staying in a country that essentially saw everybody in crypto as a bunch of criminals. But the reality is this country has something very great, and that's that the people can express themselves, and express themselves they did. A lot of people own crypto these days. They're open to the idea of crypto, and all these US-based cryptos that had their very brief moment to shine before the SEC went after them, got all these exchange listings, got all this attention, got so much hype from these US investors. Now that the US is back on the map, they're just making up for lost time. There is no such thing as an extinction event. It is a black swan event where the asteroid hit and the SEC came, and they've been fighting to build this back up over the course of years. I mean, Coinbase's stock was in the dumps for who even knows how long, when well below the IPO price by a lot. Everybody was clowning on crypto, and a couple people are trying to take credit for it now, but the people that stuck around in 2022, 2023, when the FTX collapse happened, I mean, there were guys that were treating it like it was some weird bipartisan issue where the Democrats were getting more donations or the Republicans were this and that. It's ridiculous. At the end of the day, crypto is not bipartisan. It's just like a single issue thing. Do you like crypto? Do you think crypto will be important for society? Do you think people will use it for things? If yes, great, we won. It's like the US dollar. Very simple. Will people use the US dollar? Is there a reason for it? The government? Very interesting. Are institutions picking up Bitcoin because they're very scared that their S&P 500 returns won't match the inflation rate? Yeah, they're terrified. If Bitcoin blows up, inflation's going to increase. It's going to be insanity for everything. But wait, what if we use Bitcoin as an inflation hedge? And that's exactly what's been going on. And that's why everything's kind of coming together. And so all of these Dinocoins that are US based that took the sacrifice to actually fight for the industry when no one else wanted to, they're the ones getting the gains. All of the gains are going back to them, and they deserve to be so much higher than they are right now, because for so long, even now, they're still below their all-time highest prices at a time where Bitcoin was worth, what, $14,000 when no one cared about DeFi. And while, yeah, you can argue the technology is different these days, tech does not matter. It's the distribution. If no one uses your tech, what is the point of having the technology? The most important people in crypto are the marketing guys. The guy that built Idera, for example, Lehman Barrett, bro was in the US Air Force for like 20 years. You look at him now, he's Uncle Earl. He's got that weird smile, but he's an absolute genius. He developed hash graph technology, which you don't even need to know what that is, but all it means is like there's fixed gas fees. It never changes.
Yeah.
There's no Etherscan with like the stupid gas fees going up and down and Bitcoin and all this stuff. Like we're getting it cheaper and cheaper. It's the same price.
Yeah.
All over. And they've been marketing to those US institutions this entire time. The banks are going to say, you know what? I don't want a global ledger. I don't want China to have some of these validators. I want them to be in the United States. XRP already has a private network. Idera is going to have spheres. They've already set up for the US mass adoption angle. And now they're just reaping the benefits. All the US retail boys are going on it. The institutions are aping. If you look at the ETFs globally, all of them are starting to give weighting to XRP, HBAR, some of these bigger boys. So that's exactly what's happening right here. It's not the Dino coin narrative. It's like the Dino coins reborn doing exactly what they should have done 7 years ago.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, yeah, it's a very interesting perspective, and I think it makes a lot of sense. And we needed somebody to fight those battles, right? And I think those teams did take a lot of the front, and I think they kind of got neglected in many ways.
Wasted a lot of money.
Probably a lot of money. But in terms of like trading strategies for the cycle, obviously you went big into the Dinocoins, so-called. What's your trading strategies going into the cycle? Obviously, we're getting pretty far into the cycle now. We're kind of going into everyone kind of guesses different periods, but there is euphoria building up in the space right now. What are your trading strategies, and when do you look to take chips off the table specifically?
So I look for deficiencies in the market. I don't trade into trends. If I trade into a trend, while the consensus is that if you trade into a trend, you're going to make money on average. It's like trading into a bull market. You don't want to short into a bull market. And that still stands. Definitely don't want to go ahead and short in a bull market. I like to find things that I have an EV advantage in, that I'm going to actually be able to win in. And for me, crypto gaming for a long time has been that. People ignore the metaverse, for example. I think a great example of that is Wilder World Cornucopia. A lot of people are probably sleeping on it. They're like, why in the world would I get into some cringe metaverse play, guys? The metaverse is never going to take off. But it's the dream, the belief that something could actually be built here. And who's leading this charge? Is it going to be successful? I don't know. Is anything in crypto going to be successful long term? 10 years, Bitcoin could be gone. Probably not. But we're not really here to guess. We're here to know who's leading this charge and why should people care about this.
Yep.
So I called when Sand and Mana had gone, hey, Cornucopia is going to run and Wilder World's going to run because these guys both have way better metaverses and they both have a big tie to the US.
Yeah.
So, like we took the Dinocoin narrative, it's the same exact thing, but for gaming. We're getting a little bit away from Ponzi schemes. We're getting a little bit closer to actual regulation. These games, while they aren't the flashiest thing in the world and they're actually honest actors for once and are telling you this is going to take a long time to build, they're building it. And the narrative, as it comes slowly back to the US, all of these US-based cryptos are just mooning. So trading strategies are all about finding those deficiencies in the market. And if you're looking for deficiencies right now, a great example of this was when XRP pumped, the XRP ledger had, for a very brief time, absolutely moon-rocketed because this platform called Deck Screener had added it. And because volume kept going up, the rankings up. But of course, the second retail is there, it's over. The party is over. So you want to find it before. For example, Dogechain was a great example of that. All of these small deficiencies in the market is what you want. You don't want to buy Bitcoin right now when it's at $96,000. For the average guy, it's just a complete waste of time. But if you just hone in on what you think you have an advantage in, for me, it was gaming. I was great at Arcade. I was great at League of Legends. I understood the black markets. I understood everything in between. That vertical for me just made sense. And that's why every little quote unquote Ponzi worked, because a lot of these in-game currencies for regular games are all Ponzi's.
Yeah.
So if you just apply it to real money, it's the same exact thing. And people panic the same way, if not even more extreme than they do with fake money.
Yeah, the psychology in it is very similar, but like I said, I think it is more extreme because the second there's a financial kind of involvement in it, people do get a lot more emotional, or the emotions are kind of heightened. But that's very interesting, especially on the you say like kind of find your edge in there. And I spoke to B-Check and he was like speaking very heavily on an unfair advantage, like understanding where in the industry is your unfair advantage, whether that is trading, whether that is in content, whether it is building, and then you niche down. So like say it's in trading, okay, like where in trading? I know some people who are really good at meme coins, some people who are really good at airdrop farming, some people who are incredible at gaming specific tokens. So it's like, I think that's the biggest thing, is like not going too broad. I do believe that kind of specializing within crypto is actually really powerful, especially right now. I think it's good to have a broad understanding of what's going on in the market, but specializing on where you want to concentrate your efforts the rewards are much, much higher than if you were to go very broad. And I think, yeah, like you say, with your Dinocoins, they worked really well. The AI narrative is huge right now. And I know it is just a narrative, but like if you can specialize in that and have your edge, like,
yeah, we love nodes too.
And nodes, yes, that's actually a very interesting side of things, because I would like to go on to the nodes in terms of, I mean, a lot of people think nodes are dead in some way.
Okay.
There is like there's a narrative around it, because I think there have been some huge raises, but like I guess anticlimactic node launches over the last like 6 months to a year, similar to like gaming token launches in a way as well. But yeah, in terms of nodes specifically, what is your view on them from an investment standpoint? Because retail, at some point when they make money, they'll have the opportunity to invest in stuff like nodes. But I feel like it's harder to understand from the node side. So yeah, what's your view on the node market right now and the opportunity from an investment standpoint?
Yeah, first off, same thing, deficiency markets. Nobody wants to invest into X, Y, and Z. And so I invest into X, Y, and Z before people can afford X, Y, and Z. So it's the same exact logic. I remember back in very early 2024, and even going back on it, Myria, Playable, these I invested to in like 2022. They launched in early 2023, at least Myria. And the chart went like this, up, and it died, and it rugged, practically. And then for 6 months, nothing happened. But what happens to a place that has sold a lot of dreams and has tens of millions of dollars? Well, they wait a couple months until everything's hot again. And when it's hot, they strike. And they went straight to new all-time highs, got a bunch of massive advisors, and boom, they're one of the forefront in the node industry. All of us hit ROI. We all have liquidity, tons of money. And then new sales come. We got Zai, and then a bunch of people made money on Zai. And then we had Aether, and people are gonna make money in February, but it's gonna take a little bit. And then it kind of slowed down and slowed down and slowed down. For the people that are betting on nodes now, the logic is a little bit different. What happened back in early 2024 is a lot of us got into these things, got little KOL rounds and VC rounds and all this. I did pretty well on them, actually. I did very well. I know a lot of people have the exact opposite point of view, but if you got into things early, then you're good. It's like common sense, right? But like common sense doesn't hit us in the heat of the moment a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I stopped going into rounds probably around like May-ish. That's when things got a little bit too overheated. I was like, you know what? I'm good. I think I'm getting rugged on a couple of these. I'm fine. And it humbled me. And so I left that and I noticed nothing's happening. Nodes are fumbling. And that sucks. But when the markets start coming back up, these nodes that are still selling at the exact same valuations when no one wanted to buy them are still valued at the exact same price. And it's gotten to the point where it's even lower than the guys that got into VC rounds. Yeah. And not only that, not only is he just a little bit lower, it's a lot lower. I'm talking about like 70% discounts on that. And you get your 10% discount off of like the creator code or whatever.
Yeah.
If you get your whitelist at the lowest tier because no one wants to buy them because they suck, right?
Yeah.
Then you set yourself up for like huge success stories. Like Carve was a good example of that. They raised a ton of money on launch. That thing went from, I think we got in at like 250, 300 mil FDVs. The entire community got that. It's not just influencers and venture capital funds.
Yeah.
Like everyone got that because no one felt like buying them. It was overheated market, right? That thing instantly went to a billion FDV. Like we all killed it on that.
Yeah.
Absolutely killed it. And we get our ROI the second the first unlock happens. The airdrops are all coming in. These companies, while yes, they are desperate to raise money, we have to keep that in mind. Gaming hasn't had its run yet. AI, I've been getting into GPU, cloud computing, all that complicated shebangry. I've been getting into that a little bit, but these guys are desperate for money because they haven't raised from a lot of these VCs. They haven't had their moment to shine. So they're giving you these insane discounts. If they have raised a lot of money before and it hasn't been that long and they're not building something insane, that probably means they still got their money.
Yeah.
And if they still have their money and they have this crazy, absurdly low valuation, what do you think happens when this token launches?
Yeah.
There's going to be a liquidity event.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of I think it's so right in terms of like catching when like basically spotting the opportunity within the shadows as such. When people are least speaking about a certain narrative is probably the best time to buy. Gaming's kind of in that position right now. Nobody's really speaking about it. Meme coins are winning by far. AI are now is a big narrative. Gaming is kind of a little bit neglected.
Let them sleep on it. It's all good.
Yeah, and then that's where the opportunity comes from. But we're heading up to the end of the show now, and I like to ask two main questions. One is that we kind of touched on it to kind of bring people into the industry, but what is, I guess, another piece of advice that you'd give someone entering the retail right now? Like the simplest form of advice anyone, most impactful thing that they can learn going into like their first cycle or first bull market specifically.
So your first crypto bull cycle, I mean, that's an exciting time, isn't it? I would say in terms of advice, first off, get off of the centralized exchanges. FTX can happen again at any time. Don't get into things that aren't backed. Like USDT right now is a little shady. Tether's a little weird. It's probably not going to rug. It's probably fine. But still, get into the stuff that's more regulated. It's a little bit more boomer. It's a little bit more boring. Get on USDC, some of those other ones. Yeah, there's a cabal here. It's centralized, but everything in crypto is centralized. And just learn basic fundamentals that you don't think most people will want to learn. Because I went to school, I did computer science, I got into economics, I did the stuff nobody felt like doing, got into crypto, did the boring stuff. When I go on YouTube, for example, my plus EV advantage as a content creator is that I can actually explain what's going on a blockchain because I could go through the transactions, I could dig into the protocols, I actually understand some of the code because of my computer science background. So find that advantage and just double down on it. And don't just double down, put all your time into it. Because right now we only got a year left. Yeah. A year left until this theoretical boom happens. Don't throw it all in, but find that out and find it out fast because now's the time to get into it.
Yeah, I think you don't even need to over leverage yourself from a financial perspective because you can make, especially in the bull market, being able to turn your liquidity into multiples is not the hardest thing in the world. So like even if you start a low amount, the best thing, like you say, is just to kind of figure out what you're best at and double down on it. But one other piece of advice is just more of a broad thing in life, is just one resource that you found super helpful, whether it's a book, podcast, someone you follow, a perspective that's changed in your life that's been very impactful on your success.
I would say probably the very basic book, Atomic Habits, would be that. A lot of people, first off, will, when they talk to human beings, I initially thought that everybody just knew everything about life. And they would just know everything about you. Because I was awkward, I didn't talk to people. But I noticed that when you talk to enough people, you get enough cues of body language, etc., etc. And you also pick up on the psychology of it all. In crypto, life, everything you get into is all about psychology. Like, for example, when I have my hand closed, it's like, is he comfortable? Is he all right? Have it out. Like, oh, he's all right. Everything's okay. But it's those little things and getting out there and making yourself uncomfortable. It's like, I think there was this guy called Yes Theory. It was like this big YouTube channel back then. He went ahead and was always, seek being uncomfortable. And that's it. I mean, you got to be uncomfortable. I am not an extrovert at all. I'm still like this awkward, nerdy kid that wins a bunch of gaming tournaments, has a little bit of an ego, but he's also like humble enough to understand that he's not the biggest thing in the world and he's just another dude in this big ass planet. But just find a way to make yourself uncomfortable and actually get through what the hell is going on in your life. Because we all have shitty things out there. But if we can work through it and we could seek things that we've never experienced, we'll probably find something cool along the way.
Yeah, I think building confidence in discomfort is like one of the most powerful things you can do. I think in modern day, I think a lot of people shy away from discomforts, but I think as you do more uncomfortable things, you prove to yourself that you can handle a lot more, and you just grow as a person. Like, I think that's one of the biggest steps to success, is just being able to grow into life from new experiences, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. That is how you build as a person. And I think if you kind of just try to stay in your comfort zone, at some point in life, you'll kind of look back on it and be like, damn, I wish I kind of done a little bit more. So I think
always,
all the best things that have happened in my life have come from a lot of discomfort and a lot of like good and bad discomfort, all of it together.
Yeah.
I think if you look back, I think anyone who's watching can look back at all the best moments in their life, and I think they can pinpoint a point in that story where it kind of came from discomfort. But yeah, thank you very much for coming on, man. It's been incredible to tap into everything that you've experienced within Web3 and all your expertise. For anyone who'd like to follow your journey, where is the best place to catch you?
Yeah, I mean, DeFi channel, Classy Crypto. Regular channel is my actual name, Jesus Martinez. We're out there, we're doxed. If you want to see us, you know where to go.
Perfect. I recommend anyone wanting to get into the industry to give them a follow, because a lot of great insights, and like we say, it's a wild world out there in Web3 right now. So having people to learn from is a huge help. But yeah, thank you very much for coming on. And excited to see the growth you'll have during this bull market.
Thank you.